Thank you. Welcome from my side as well. On every conference, I always get the luck to be between the audience and the lunch. So I hope it's interesting enough that you're not starving. I'd like to talk about imbalance handling and imbalance settlement. And the main part of the presentation is about how to calculate imbalance at all, or how to determine imbalance before you can do the settlement. And I'd like to introduce the concept of the balancing group. And this is in Germany, but also in the rest of Europe, the way of balancing and of scheduling, because scheduling is very important. Otherwise, you don't know what you balance, actually. There are two main principles in this in the balancing group concept, and one is a self-balancing, and the other one is self-dispatching. This is in some parts of the world quite unusual, especially the self-balancing, where self-balancing means that a customer, like a municipality or a large industry, or also a large generator, is responsible by himself for making a good forecast, and then getting the energy or the power on the energy market, on the electricity market. And self-dispatching means that there is, for example, a generator owns several units, and if this generation operator is selling this power somewhere, he can then afterwards, and actually doing operation, decide which of his power plants he actually likes to use for this. So he dispatches his power plants completely by himself, and the TSO is supervising this, but is not influencing it under normal conditions. If there are constraints in the grid or some problems in the grid, then it's a different thing. Then the TSO can order generation or redispatch of generation. Of course, you need information from the generation or the load towards the TSO. That's what's done via the scheduling. And the TSO supervises the whole process, but is usually not taking care of it. And then the TSO balances whatever is remaining in imbalances. So the balancing groups are responsible for balancing as much as possible and as fast as possible as they can if they find some imbalances during the operation. But, well, it's not always possible, so then the TSO comes in and does the remaining imbalances and take care of the remaining imbalances. A balancing group is some kind of a virtual thing. Well, it has a balancing responsible party. There is a little difference between balancing group and balancing responsible party, but here in this presentation, just take it as the same thing. There are balancing groups that have pure balancing, so there is no generation and consumption involved, but there is also some of them that come to this later. This balancing group, or the BRP, the balancing responsible party, creates a schedule, is responsible for the forecast by himself, uses balancing energy to be balanced, but this is not reserved. The TSO uses reserves. The balancing group uses balancing energy from the market. Call it balancing energy or just energy. And then we have predefined contracts to open a balancing group, and this is set up before with the operator, and there are legal questions around this, and also obligations there. Balancing BRPs can be utilities, so municipalities, pure traders, large customers, aggregators, also wind and solar operators, distribution system operators, TSOs. They can also have their own balancing group, for example, for losses. And we have in Germany about 5,000 of them. I'm not sure if this number is still still actual. It might be increased by them. And yeah, I go this a little faster. This is the principal picture of the balancing group. So you have generation, you have consumption out of the balancing group, you have trading and exchange with other balancing groups. There might be no generation, no consumption, and you have a pure trading balancing group. There might be no trading, only generation, then it's a generator or pure consumption. The scheduling is very important. The prerequisite for scheduling is, of course, a liquid market, and then a meter with a 50-minute time resolution and a memory. So the normal residential customer does not operate his own balancing group. That's the municipality who's supplying them, and they take like 10,000 customers together and then doing this scheduling for them. The BRP does the forecast ahead of time. It then gets energy from somewhere on the market, or from the power exchange, or directly from a generator for that special time of the next day. Then both the generator and the load sends the schedule to the TSO, and the TSO cross-checks that. And after this, after the fact, it compares the schedule with the meter reading. So I have a picture for this here. So there's the load on the right side doing this forecast, does a deal with the generator, either directly or via a trader or via the exchange, and does a payment for the energy. The TSO is not involved in this process. The payment is absolutely unknown from the side of the TSO. Then both the load and the generator sends their schedule to the TSO. The TSO checks this if they're the same and sends positive feedback. And then during the actual delivery, the generator delivers into the transmission grid. This is metered. And the load takes out of the transmission grid, and that's also metered. And then after the fact, it is possible to compare these two values, schedule and meter reading, and then the TSO knows who was imbalanced, which balancing group was imbalanced or not. And this is done for every 15 minutes. So it's just another picture. The day-ahead scheduling is submitted there. It's usually until gate closure day ahead, which is in Germany 2:30. In other countries, it's similar. Then this balanced performance is taken down to every 15 minutes. What's happening in the 15 minutes, it's not taken into account. It's just the average of 15 minutes. And you can change this schedule. And if the balancing group recognizes, well, I made a bad forecast the day before, they can always adapt the forecast, adapt the schedule, go back to the energy market and try to trade against the new forecast, and then improving their schedule and their forecast. At the power exchange, we have hourly contracts and 15-minute contracts as well. So I said it's only possible to balance yourself if you have a liquid market, and the power exchange is a very liquid market, but it's not necessary that you go via the power exchange. You can also do direct trades. This is just how it works. There's the reserve market. That's another thing that works in the morning. Then we have the auction on the power exchange at 12 at noon the day before. We get the results, and then the schedules need to be sent by the BRPs towards the TSOs until 2:30 the day before. Then the intraday, shortly after that, the intraday market's open, so you can start adjusting your schedule already and start retrading get a better balance. Up to half an hour before you can do this retrading, And you have to send a schedule, of course, up to 15 minutes before, and then for the hour of delivery, then the real-time balancing starts, which is then taken over by the TSO. So up to this moment, the balancing responsible party can do this, and then the TSO takes over. However, during the hour, if you find out deviations there as a balancing responsible party, you can also try to correct this for the following 15 minutes. So, and then when it comes to this real-time balancing, well, then it's as every power system. So the German power system has the same physics. You have some reserve that follows the frequency. That's used to be called primary reserve. Now it's frequency containment reserve. Then you have other reserves that brings the frequency back to the normal value of 50 Hertz. That's frequency restoration reserve, FRR. There's an automatic part that comes in after 30 seconds. And then there is a manual FRR that the dispatcher at the TSO or in the control center can activate if they think it's needed. And this manual FRR then replaces the automatic FRR partly, so that there's another automatic FRR free for the next event, whatever it is. After 1 hour, the balancing responsible party should take care of this. There should be enough time for them, if there is a power plant outage or something else, to cover this and to take care and do trades on the intraday market, or with free contracts, whatever, to take care of the imbalances. If they are not able to, of course, the TSO will carry on. But the rule says that then the TSO is only responsible for the first hour, and then the BRP should take over. So then there must be an incentive for the BRPs to be balanced. And this is the settlement. And therefore I have some two very simple examples. I simplified it very much. So it is after the fact, we look at the control area, and in this case, this control area has 3 balancing groups. One is short with 1 megawatt, one is long with 2 megawatts, another one is short with 2 megawatts. So at the end, the whole control area is 1 megawatt short. The TSO takes care of this. The TSO has contracted reserves up front, and the supplier of these reserves, it's a tendering process, charges 150 euros in this example per megawatt hour for delivering positive reserves. This price is usually much higher than the day-ahead price on the exchange, which is roughly about 30 to 50, 60 euros per megawatt hour. So there is then a payment done from the TSO towards the suppliers. I took full hours here. Now it's done every 15 minutes, this settlement. But for the example, I simplified it to 1 hour. So the supplier delivered 1 megawatt for 1 hour is 1 megawatt hour, and gets therefore 150 euros. The balancing group 1 has to pay the same price towards the TSO. So 1 megawatt short, 1 hour long, 150 megawatt, 1 megawatt hour, it's 150 euros. The balancing group 2 actually was long, so was helping the system. In this case, the TSO pays towards the balancing group, because balancing group 2 was helping 2 megawatts for 1 hour. It's 2 megawatt hours. It's 300 euros, and the balancing group 3 was the opposite, so they have to pay for it. Another example might be just the next 15-minute interval. The control area is long, so the supplier of reserves absorbs this 2 megawatts, which is long. And in the tendering process, they said, well, we pay only 5 euros per megawatt hour if we take energy. That's also for negative reserves. The price is usually much lower than the average market price. So in this case, the supplier sorry, this is wrong. No, it's right. It's right. I'm confused as well. The supplier pays towards the TSO because he gets energy, but he pays a very low price. It's only 10 euros. And then the other balancing groups as well, some pay for it because they're still short, like balancing group 1. And the other two balancing groups are both long, so they both get some money, but a very little. And there is the incentive to be balanced. You never know ahead what is, if you're balanced or not. And the prices on the reserve market are so much different from the day-ahead market. So the best thing on the long run is to be balanced all the time. Even if there might be some times where it is worth to be unbalanced if you're helping the system. But in general, it's better to be balanced. So this is working since on this principle since many years in Germany and also in Europe, and it's working quite well. There are only a very few cases where this balancing didn't work quite well, but it was never so bad that the system security was endangered somehow. In other countries, in other European countries, the principle is the same, but the prices are different. Some of the TSOs always charge for imbalances, no matter if you're helping the system or not. It's just a little different price than it's a little higher or a little lower if you're helping or not. But this is how it's set up in Germany. The cost recovery for the TSOs. This tendering process has two prices. We have this, I think, this afternoon in another session how it works. So it's a capacity price. This is just paid by the grid users. And then it's the energy price when actually calling for the reserves and using it. Then it is paid by the BRPs, as I just described. And this usually is done every month. So after the month is over, all the meter readings are taken into account, and then it's all calculated, and the settlement is done within 1.5 months after the delivery month. As I have only 2 minutes left, I'd like to go straight to conclusions. As I said, the two main principles is the self-balancing and self-scheduling. That might be strange to some people, but well, we made very good experience with this. This is the principle of the balancing group concept, and of course, scheduling is then essential. And the remuneration of the reserves are done based on the imbalances, so this is the incentive to be balanced. And there is, at least in the German system, a benefit for helping the system, even if you never know it up front, if it's working or not. So I think that's it. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.